Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, and I welcome if you're listening on the radio or on your laptop. I especially welcome those of you who are watching on YouTube from live stream, which includes an audience of folks here in New Albany. I'm at the William Faulkner. I'm going to call it the William Faulkner Museum. It's actually the Union County Heritage Museum that's got a William Faulkner Garden and a William Faulkner Library, which is where I'm broadcasting, Java. I mean, I'm surrounded by books that I was raised with. And a matter of fact, I was looking at one a little bit earlier called The Wishing Tree, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the main thing is I want to let folks know this is a live program here on MPB. And if you want to give us a call, it's toll free, 1-877-MPB-RING. We'll talk about anything that's on your gardening mind. I gave a fantastic program. I was part of a fantastic program last night. Surprisingly, number of well-adjusted people came out on Thursday night to hear me talking about gardening and stuff. I was at the standing room only group, folks celebrating the birthday of William Faulkner and the 20th anniversary of the William Faulkner Literary Garden, which is right here in New Albany. It's sitting in the middle of a heritage museum and history buildings. Way cool collection of small town stuff. Matter of fact, it's a recreation of Frenchman's Bend, which is one of Faulkner's not literary towns. But anyway, they got all these artifacts and buildings and a real special garden. So William Faulkner Literary Garden, celebrating the 20th anniversary, where they've got plants that were mentioned in Faulkner's books and passages that were reminiscent of plants and art and all. And they've got an incredible museum with placards by all the different plants. Most of you might know that William Faulkner was awarded both the Pulitzer Prize and the Nobel Prize for literature, but may not know he was born in New Albany, and they're real proud of him here, and they deserve to be. I've been watching this garden Java develop for years. It is so fun. Thanks to collaboration between the Heritage Museum director, Jill Smith, and the incredibly dedicated, hardworking Shara Owens. I've known her for years through lectures and master gardening and garden clubs, but she and the New Albany Garden Club has started this museum. And I just wanted to, Java, before we get into calls, if we could, just to show a handful of pictures of it. Number one picture is a Heritage Museum. It's just one of the buildings here. They've got a full little store with checkerboards and everything. But just to give you an idea, it's like a late 1800s, early 1900s town. They've got a garden gate, picture number two, that is made, it's welded with garden tools and stuff. It just feels real right, real good. But the picture number three is an example of the plants that they've got and the quotes from Faulkner's books. And it's just a lovely garden. It's easy strolling around. But one of the most important things, Java, and I want to throw this out, is last night they unveiled, in honor of Shara Owens and all of her work, they unveiled an artist rendition of the Meadowmax tree. It's picture number 4. The Meadowmax tree is done by a metal artist from Ecru named John Kenny. The Meadowmax tree was from William Faulkner's book, The Wishing Tree. And supposedly, when you pluck a leaf off, it turns blue and one of your wishes can come true. Anyway, don't want to get into all that, but this is a fantastic museum. It's easy to find right across the railroad track from downtown New Albany. And we're going to be talking more about that a little bit later. But Java, how you doing? Did you get enough rain in your garden the other day?
Yeah, we got I like to say, a nice little soaking.
Oh yeah, it was so soaking. I was driving my truck and I had turned my windshield wipers on so hard that it threw one of the windshield wipers off the truck.
Wait a minute.
Well, it's an old truck, and it probably need to come anyway. I'm glad it happened in Jackson, where I could pull off on the side of the road rather than going down a back road someplace late at night. But it was pretty incredible indeed.
Yeah, and I want to say with that what is that tree? A metal tree? That blue metal tree?
It's a rendition of the Meadowmax tree or the Wishing Tree.
Okay.
Which is from one of William Faulkner's books from back in the 60s. But this was done as a sculpture in the garden. As a matter of fact, they could call it back up. Picture number 4. This is one of the coolest metal trees I've seen some stuff all over the world, but this is one of the coolest. And the artist who did it, he just sort of made it up, and it represents this Meadowmax tree. But I think it could use maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think it could use some bottles on it.
Oh, see, there you go. It is that blue. I guess what would that be? Bottle tree blue?
Yeah, well, rather than bottle tree, now this is me being a little bit artsy, but I could see just a few clear bottles on it, just enough to, it
Okay.
wouldn't take away from the sculpture itself, but it would sort of spark it up. But if they put just a few little clear bottles on it, boy, oh boy, would that spark. And imagine what it's going to look like in the wintertime.
Now that took
So
away my
anyway,
question because I was going to ask what were some of the unique features of this garden, but the Melomax tree has got to take the cake.
yeah, it's quite nice. I wish I could fit it in the back of my pickup truck. So, and by the way, you gave me something. We could talk about this a little bit later, but let's go ahead and do it now. If we don't have any calls,
Yeah, no, no,
but
no. 1-877 MPB ring 1-877-672-7462. Also on the YouTube, you can drop your comments into the chat. Good morning to Margie, Kendall, Carolyn, Jade, some of our early participants this morning. So, what were you going to talk about?
well, you gave me a yard sign the other day. It's a MPB yard sign. It's called "Proud to Be a Neighbor," and I put it in my yard. So can I call that picture number 5 MPB yard sign?
Yeah, that's I mean, that's our campaign as we are, proud to be neighbors. And now we're calling on the neighborhood to help us out. So a lot of people have those signs in their yards and have been displaying them proudly. We were at the book festival a couple of weeks ago, passing them out. And you're in New Albany, passing out a couple of them. And we've been.
I got some with me. And by the way, I put it in my yard because I wanted to pair it with the fact that it's got Big Bird on it. And I put it with some goldenrod in my yard. How's that look?
I mean, you're color coordinating.
It is, it is. But goldenrod is one of those plants that people really don't appreciate that much because we have so much of it. But it's in the same family as sunflowers and zinnias, and it's a native plant. It's one of the top 10 perennials used in English gardens. They all have it. It blooms in the late summer for them, late summer, early fall, fall for us. But goldenrod is a good cut flower. It's a beautiful. Matter of fact, I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can hold this thing up. See if you can see there. Here's a flower arrangement with some goldenrod in it that the garden club ladies made for our
Yeah.
program this morning. Look at that. All of these flowers came out of the William Faulkner Literary Garden. But anyway, I just want to show that a lot of people don't realize, but the individual goldenrod flowers are tiny. They're like little bitty in little zinnias. So one of the drawbacks to goldenrod Java, other than the fact it tends to spread, which is not a problem. If you can shave, you can keep goldenrod and just pull up what you don't like. But goldenrod is a one of the top pollinator plants in the garden. There are no other native pollinator plants that support as much, not just the butterflies and the bees and stuff, but the little little spiders that hummingbirds eat. They got to get protein. So this is a plant that supports a whole lot of different kind of wildlife. Well, the reason I wanted to go on about that because I have another picture. They could call up picture number 6. This answers a lot of people's question. A lot of people think they're allergic to goldenrod, Java, because they start sneezing when the goldenrod blooms. Well, goldenrod has real heavy pollen. It's sticky and it's heavy. It cannot float in the air. It's got to be carried from plant to plant by pollinators. But on the other hand, there's another plant out there that's wind pollinated. It's not very showy, tiny, tiny little dusty. You thump it like a cloud of dust comes away. It's called ragweed. Ragweed blooms at the same time. You don't notice it, but it's
Yeah.
what's making you sneeze. Anyway, I got this picture of goldenrod and ragweed side by side. So in case you're not sure of them, goldenrod's a beautiful garden plant. And they got a whole lot of different kinds. Matter of fact, here at the Literary Garden, they've got one called Fireworks. It's a goldenrod that sends out these long wands of flower. A lot of different, including some dwarf kinds. So anyway, I just want to say that dandelions aren't a big deal right now, but goldenrod is. Goldenrod is a good guy. Only thing is, you got to put it where you can pull it up from time to time. It's not that big a deal. I just want to throw that out.
Well, let's go to our calls and see what Kevin from South Carolina wants to throw out this morning.
Hey, Kevin, good morning. What's up?
Hey, so had a quick question for you. Well, actually, 2. So this one's going to be weird. Pepper plants, right? I've got a bunch of different varieties ranging from like shishito, not hot at all, the ghost peppers in the same planter.
Right.
Over time, is there any concern, as it's going to sound weird, but is there any concern of those actually taking on any heat characteristics from the other ones?
That's a real good question. Cross-pollination normally only affects seeds, and the pepper plants are not really pollinated that much by bees. They're self-pollinated, so you're not going to have a lot of pollinators on the little pepper plants. But if they do get pollen from a hot pepper to a sweet pepper, the pepper won't be hot. The seeds will be, and that little white membrane inside that connects the seeds to the wall of the inside of the pepper, it can be a little spicy, but it's not going to make the pepper itself hot. That's a good question,
All right,
though.
that makes sense. All right, thanks for that. And the other one is how to get the best growth out of an indoor pothos plant.
Oh boy. Well, pothos, keep in mind, they get leaves that are huge. They're a foot wide, more than a foot wide, and 2 feet long in the jungles. They grow way up in trees. They look like kudzu in the jungle. And I've seen it from South America and Africa, the Caribbean, and it's a big vine. It does best in bright, indirect light. It'll tolerate low light. And it'll tolerate low humidity because it's got a thick, slick leaf. Slick leaf plants will tolerate the lower humidity of indoors. But if you want to get the most out of it, I would put it fairly close to a bright window and keep it moist, not wet, and just give it a little fertilizer from time to time, maybe half strength, 2 or 3 or 4 times a year. But keep it moist, not wet, a little bit of fertilizer, and close to a bright light. It's one of the few plants that you don't have to keep away from the air conditioner vent because it's not a sensitive low humidity. But that's the way to get the most out. If you're lucky, you're going to wake up in the morning, it's going to be strangling you in your bed, though. It's a vigorous vine.
I wouldn't be horribly surprised. All right. Hey, I appreciate it. That's all from me, boss.
You bet. Appreciate it. Java. We got another caller?
Yeah, we got a few callers, but let's go ahead and while a couple of them are lining up, let's go ahead and take our first break for the day. And we want to thank everybody for being on the YouTube this morning and everybody tuning in. So, yeah.
Yeah, we also want to thank the folks here at the Union County Heritage Museum and the incredible William Faulkner Literary Garden. It's definitely worth coming over here, anywhere near North Mississippi. By the way, Java, before we go to this break, while we're going into it, I want to thank Kevin for one of the worst jokes ever. Yesterday, I heard him say, let me see if I can run. Did you hear about they've developed a chicken-proof lawn?
Yes.
Did you hear him say that?
I heard it.
He said, it's impeccable. He said, I'm going to have to get him back for this. I'm going to have to get him back because that is too cheesy. Anyway, we'll be back for more of the Gestalt Gardener here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to talking to you when we come right back.
Southern Remedy Health.
Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Every parent wants their child to grow, to explore, and to dream big. At MPB, we're proud to support families and teachers across Mississippi with trusted educational programming and resources that inspire learning and spark imagination. From PBS Kids favorites to digital tools and early learning support, MPB is here for young minds, engaged classrooms, and families who believe in the power of learning at every age. Empowering families, inspiring learners. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, is a brand new companion podcast to the MPB documentary Everlasting, the life and legacy of Medgar Evers. Join me, Rita Brent, as we dive deeper into the story with exclusive interviews and conversations about the enduring legacy of Medgar Evers. Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, available on the MPB app or wherever you get your podcasts, with new episodes every other week. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okie dokie, folks, welcome back. I had a little trouble with the YouTube. I think we got it up and now, so those of you kind of running around, we should be back on there. Appreciate you sticking with us. Me and Java and folks at MPB, we appreciate all of our listeners. But we're here to talk with folks about what's going on in their gardens. Let's slide over to Tupelo, which is right down the road from New Albany, where I am right now. Let's talk to Marcia and see what's going on. Marcia, good morning.
Good morning, Felder. I was delighted to meet you last night at the museum, and I enjoyed your presentation. I'm from Russia originally. I hope that you remember me. And I have a question. Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I was walking through this literary garden, and it's a must to see for everyone. Each plant had a citation from William Faulkner's book, and one of them said, like this, the birds, when they finished eating raspberries and blah, blah, blah. So my question is, one time I went to Walmart Garden Center and bought a bush of raspberries. I figured that if they're sold here, that means that you can grow them here in Mississippi. I tried and I failed. So my question is it possible to cultivate this plant in Mississippi?
You're talking about raspberries?
Raspberry, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It is possible. As a matter of fact, there was a variety that developed at Mississippi State called Dorman Red. To me, it tastes a little bit like turpentine, I'll be honest with you, but it produces okay. Raspberries do better they do better in Canada and Russia than they do in Mississippi because of our hot, humid climate and our mild winters. But you can grow them, but they need to be trained, on a trellis or something to get them off the ground. And if they stay really too wet, they tend to get root rot and diseases. So plant them in a pretty well-drained soil, plenty of sun, and try not to push them too much with fertilizer. And they'll do okay. If you know how raspberries are supposed to do, they'll just do okay. But if you're not, any you get makes them great. But they also, when you pull them off, you know how when you pull a raspberry off, it leaves a little hollow core. They tend to melt before you get them back to the house. So I would eat them like you would right off the vine.
So they'll need shade. I'm afraid that they will be just overheated if I put them like in the plain sun. Do they need shade at all?
No, they need full sun. They do best in the sunshine. Most fruit plants, they need plenty, at least 6 or 8 hours of sunshine. But most important thing is not where they'll stay too wet in the wintertime.
Yes, thank you very much. And one quick question. Yesterday you were talking about that you can actually hand pollinate plants. It is the first time that I've heard of that. How do you do that? Do you just kind of put your fingers inside the flower, or what is the procedure of pollinating by hand?
Well, the two most common ways gardeners hand pollinate plants. If you want to hybridize daylilies, if you want to take pollen from one daylily flower and take it and put it on the little furry things in the other one, then the seeds will grow a hybrid plant. See, but if you look in there, they've got the little, I can't remember stamen from pistil. Anyway, the things that got pollen on it, you snip those off and you dab them on the other part in the other flower. I can't remember the names of these things. But a lot of people hand pollinate squash. Squash have separate male and female flowers on the same plant. And if you don't have enough bees, you got to do the pollinating yourself. And what you do is you break off a male flower. It's the one with the little, the single stem with the pollen on it, and use it like a mascara brush in an open female flower. And that'll do the trick.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really enjoy your programs, and good luck and everything. Thank you, Felder. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us last night. That was a lot of fun. I really appreciate that. So, Java, let's slide back to Jackson and talk to Cecile. Good morning, Cecile. How are you?
Good morning, Felder. I'm good, particularly since it's rained.
A good rain. It didn't last long, but it really came down.
I was waiting for the rain to have a work day at Greenwood Cemetery so we can get some weeds out of the cradles and get them ready to plant some bulbs in November.
Yeah, so this Greenwood Cemetery in downtown Jackson. It's 1 block north of the state capitol in downtown Jackson. It's just called Greenwood Cemetery. And you're going to have a work day Saturday?
Yes, tomorrow.
Okay,
That's
tomorrow.
Right.
Okay.
While the ground is still soft, I hope.
The ground is soft, and I drove through the cemetery the other day. Is where all those roses and a lot of bulbs are planted, and it really looked pretty good. Some of the cradles, the enclosed graves, did have a few weeds in it, but overall it looks pretty darn good.
I asked the contractor not to do any weed eating in any of the cradles because some of them are already planted and they couldn't tell the difference. So we need to clean out the ones that aren't planted.
You know, the people who are in charge of those companies, they know what to do, but the guys who are actually holding the string trimmers, sometimes they just got their minds on something else.
They just want to cut everything down in sight. So we've worked through that this summer. But, you know, cleaning up a cradle, it's such a small defined area, and you can get such a feeling of satisfaction from having totally cleaned up a cradle. Doesn't take very long, and it's a lot easier than tackling a whole cemetery plot.
And it's a very nice, you know, it's an old garden park type cemetery. You know, the way people used to go out and socialize. It's a beautiful cemetery. It looks really good. It's a good way to also meet some folks. So about what time should they get there?
I'll be there by 8:30.
Okay,
We'll work till about noon.
This is still going to be dew on everything then.
Oh, but that's okay if we're pulling weeds out.
There you go. Well, y'all have fun. I'm sorry I'm going to miss it, but y'all have fun, okay?
Thank you so much, Felder.
You bet. And Java, let me mention this as an event. I had a wonderful time last week at the Magnolia Flower and Garden Festival at the Renaissance. It was a lot of people came by. I saw a lot of fun folks. But tomorrow there's going to be a fun little plant swap if you're down on the coast over in Fairhope, which is on the other. You know, it's just down past Mobile. Fairhope is an incredible little, beautiful little town. They got a plant swap at the public library. It's going to start at 10 o'clock on Saturday, September 27th. The public library, this thing goes real quick. There's a lot of really cool people bring some very strange plants, and the event runs pretty fast. So I get there pretty early. They're going to start right at 10 o'clock at the Fairhope Library, and be sure to bring some kids. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Baldwin County Master Gardeners are going to be having kid activities, and so you can also bring gardening questions there. But anyway, if you're anywhere near Fairhope, or if you're not, it's a nice little drive. Hope y'all enjoy that tomorrow. So what's up, Java?
Well, speaking of South Mississippi, or just, you know, the South, not quite the coast, but Picayune. Let's talk to Bill in Picayune right now.
Morning, Bill. What's going on? You're in Pearl River County, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's up?
Outside of Picayune. I have two mature Leland cypress trees that are turning brown. It started at the bottom, and it's working its way up to one side.
Yeah.
The one tree is almost totally brown. The other one is, you know, about a third of the way up. Is there anything I can use to spray them?
No, here's a problem. And I'm not trying to be negative here, because Leland cypress is beautiful. It's fast growing. It's an incredible plant. But it's a hybrid between a native from Alaska and a native from the mountains of California. It does not like hot, humid climates. It's native to cold areas, and they get huge. They're all over England. They get 40, 50, 60 feet tall. But here, because of humidity and rainfall, they tend to get root diseases and leaf diseases and twig diseases just from our heavy rains and our rainfall. They can't cool down at night and calm down, so they get their version of sleep deprivation. So even though they're popular and they're fast, when I studied plants at Mississippi State over 40 years ago, I was told this is not a good plant from Mississippi, because other than not keeping it too wet, there's really not much you can do. It's either going to make it or not. There's no good sprays. It's mostly just the wrong climate for them. Pretty plants, fast growing plants. I love them, but they're kind of temporary for most people in Mississippi. So not much you can do except hope they don't get too much rain. That's about it.
I thought it was a drought, but it's, you know, I cut some of the dead stuff off, and it just came back, so it's there.
Actually, it is a common. What happens when you get too much rain? The roots get damaged. Deep roots gets damaged, and so they don't have as much root. When drought comes along, they don't have the roots they need to normally take care of the plant. So it's not just hot. hotter than they like and drier than they like, but also back in the winter and spring, they got root damage. So this is, other than watering really good, maybe every 3 or 4 weeks during a dry spell, there's not much we can do to help Leland cypress. Some people have great success. The vast majority of people sooner or later have exactly what you're dealing with. It's just not a great plant. Popular, but not great. Sorry.
Okay. One other question, and when they die off or I cut them down, what's a good tree to plant there that's fast growing?
If you like that effect, our native red cedar, plain old cedar tree, it's a terrific plant, and they're fairly fast growing, surprisingly fast. They have that same conifer effect. They do quite well. But there's some, if you want to screen, that'd be a good one. You could also try the little gem magnolia, the kind of what we call a dwarf magnolia, little gem magnolia, and the our native red cedar. It's a good combination, and they grow pretty fast.
Okay, the red cedar, huh? And do they sell those in the big box stores, or do I have to go to a nursery?
They probably don't. The reason why is because it's a common tree. They don't sell stuff that people are over. They want things that grab people's attention. So you may have to find some, they're easy to transplant when they're knee high or so. A small tree will actually outgrow a bigger tree of the same species every time. You can plant a knee high, a head high, and a 10-foot tree side by side, and the knee high won't outgrow the other two. But little gem magnolia is pretty readily available. It's a good one. A good fast growing, nice screen.
I've got a lot of magnolias in my yard, but they're in the wrong place.
This is little gem. This is more like a hedge plant than a tree. You got real small leaves, small flowers. It grows more like you may be familiar with wax ligustrum. Ligustrum is a good screen plant, but little gem magnolia is more of a shrub than a tree.
Okay. And they sell those in the stores, right?
Oh, yeah. And again, keep in mind, a small tree, which is cheaper, will outgrow a bigger tree every time. Dig a wide hole, loosen up the potting soil, and it'll really jump.
Okay, great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty, appreciate that. So, Java, what's up?
Yeah, we appreciate Bill opening up the Magnolia conversation. We're going to go ahead and take our second break for the hour. You got a nice cheesy tune lined up. And when we come back, we do have a question about another type of magnolia from the live stream, a sweet bay magnolia. So we'll talk about that when we come back.
All righty, this tune I chose is by Story Laurie and friends. It's called Groovin' in the Garden, and that's what I'm going to be doing. Get off the air. I'm headed out to this literary garden and take some more pictures and things like the goldenrod and the zinnias. We're going to have fun here in New Albany. So stick with us, folks. We'll be back with more of the Gestalt Gardener right after this.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hatred destroys the one who hates. The others that you hated, go on about their business, care of us.
So the legacy of Medgar Evers is an understanding of our own humanity and of our own responsibility of seeing that in other people.
He is written out of history. He's just not included. It's Malcolm and Martin. To me, it's the 3 M's, and Medgar's right up there at the lead.
Everlasting, Life and Legacy of Medgar Evers. Watch now on MPB Passport. Visit mpbonline.org for more.
When the weather turns severe, when breaking news affects your family, when Mississippi needs answers, MPB is there. We provide real-time emergency alerts, trusted news coverage, and live broadcasts of emergency updates. Available on TV, radio, and online. MPB is on the air and by your side every day of the year. Because when it matters most, Mississippi turns to MPB, Mississippi's trusted source. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturist Felder Rushing at Java. Man, oh man, we got some rain the other day. I just want to let you know I'm here at the William Faulkner Library at the Union County Heritage Museum. I just want to let you know there's a buddy right there, Mr. Old Count, no count, as they say.
He's off focus, off camera. But
that's
making sure things are on point.
This really is a nice garden because, you know, like Eudora Welty, another famous Mississippi writer, he wrote about real stuff. He had a fictitious town, and that's what this museum is. It's got a lot of. It's not a William Faulkner museum. It's a small town museum. They've got a real store. It's sort of like the Ag Museum in Jackson, except it's tight. It's got a lot of really, really cool stuff. And this garden is just so fun. Shara Owens and the New Albany Garden Club have done a fantastic job. It's a nice windy walkthrough. It's got different garden rooms, sculptures, and all these plants that have got the quotes from the Faulkner books on there. I'm just really I'm chuffed to be here. Have we got any calls?
Yeah, we do have a call that we're about to get to, and when we finish with this call, we're going to talk about our Sweet Bay Magnolia from our YouTube live stream question. But let's talk with Jesse in Oxford.
Hey, Jesse, good morning. What's going on in Lafayette County?
Not much. Just me and my wife, we keep arguing which is the best way to do gardening. My wife wants to do the root stout lasagna gardening, and I'm usually used to doing traditional bed gardening or a raised bed gardening, 2 foot by about 6 foot. And I usually mostly do most of my gardening like that, but she wants to do the root stout lasagna gardening and all. And I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to do it, and I'm trying to convince her that, we've been having a decent garden and doing a lot of good food stuff, but she wants to do that instead of our traditional way. Which is the best way to try to do that?
Well, first of all, lasagna gardening, I know the woman who coined that term and wrote the book. Lasagna gardening is just sort of one of those made up things that's, it's an angle. And all it means is layering different stuff. You put different things down and layer it. And that's really not good for plants. It's really not. It's better to mix stuff together so roots don't get confused. So I wouldn't do lasagna gardening myself just because it just takes too much time. It's like hugelkultur. Hugelkultur is where you pile up logs and then limbs and branches and leaves and debris, and gradually it starts decomposing and you grow in that. It just takes a long time. But to me, raised bed gardening is best. It's partly raised, so when we have heavy rains, the plants don't drown, and it's partly sunk, so we can get through the dry spells. So to me, digging down a little bit, adding stuff to it, partly sunk, partly raised. And if you want to shore the size up with bricks or wood or old broken dishes or wine bottles, whatever, that just holds it in place. But partly sunk and partly raised. If you think about it, that's the way cotton and soybean farm, they make rows and furrows, so the plants are up above the wet spell, but they still have roots down deep. So I think raised bed is the most convenient. And if you mulch, once you dig your dirt and add stuff to it, sort of like adding crackers to a bowl of chili, once you mix them together, then what I do is I mulch with bark and sometimes tree leaves in the fall. And the next time I plant, I just dig those into the dirt and plant and add more. So it gets better and better and better. So I think raised bed is easier, but I ain't going to get into an argument between you and your wife about it.
Thanks for helping me win a conversation.
What? No. Don't quote me on. No, I didn't help you win nothing. Don't bring me into this. I'm just giving you my opinion.
We're going to have to add marriage counselor to your list of credentials, Felder.
No, I would fail miserably. I would, between politics and religion and all these kind of things, I don't need that too. I can believe you have settled many arguments in some households when it comes to the garden, and they all start off with Felder said. Oh yeah. How would that work with you and Crystal?
Well, Crystal listens to you, so it's Felder. Felder said.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. By the way, before we go to other calls, I get in conversation in my local pub. I go to a pub. Some people don't get that. It's a social. I live in a little cabin. It's quiet. I'm there all the time. And so sometimes I just got to get out where there's lights and noise and stuff like that and share a pint. But we get in this, what we call pub talk. It's shooting the breeze, chewing the fat, chin wagging, as they say in England. Stuff nobody really asks about, but solves little mysteries. Well, the other night, I got into it with this woman. I never met her before. Well, we got into it over the difference between styrofoam and paper when it comes to starting seeds, the pros and cons of starting seeds in egg cartons. And I mean, that's better than politics, arguing about paper or styrofoam, cardboard or styrofoam, because we ended up agreeing that they both work.
And oftentimes in arguments, that doesn't happen.
This was a philosophical. I prefer styrofoam, partly because I just poke holes in it and you pop the little plants out. She prefers the cardboard because when you get ready to plant, you just pull them apart and plant them a little styrofoam and all. What solves it for me is I tend to get eggs, the cheap eggs I can find, and they come in styrofoam. And rather than throw the styrofoam away, I just recycle them. So anyway.
Well, speaking of pros and cons, let's go to the YouTube, and been teasing this for a while. We got, let's see, Madam, I can't say the rest part. I don't know. I can't read today. But can you give pros and cons of a sweet bay magnolia? Are they very messy?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. Sweet bay is people don't realize we have a lot of different kind of magnolias. They know about the Japanese magnolias that bloom in the spring before flowers, and our regular, the southern magnolia, the evergreen, our state flower, state tree. But sweet bay is another native magnolia. It typically grows in low wet areas. You see it in bottomlands, and it'll grow in a wide variety of conditions. But sweet bay is not a big tree. It doesn't get really big like an oak. The leaves are they're several inches long, kind of narrow, but they're not waxy like the regular magnolias. So when the leaves fall, they compost better. They break down quick. And I love how the bottom side of a sweet bay leaf is kind of silvery color. So when the wind blows, it's like jazz hands. You get jazz hands in the trees. But the flower of sweet bay, it looks like it is a magnolia, but it's only it'll barely fit in the bottom of a teacup. Pretty little white flower that's hid down in the leaves, but it's just a good small tree. Grows in a lot of different kind of soils. Got nice little small flowers, and it doesn't have a real bad leaf litter problem like the regular magnolia. Whew! I didn't know I knew that much about sweet bay magnolia. Oh, and the kind of Latin Magnolia virginiana is a Latin name. How about that?
I think you got an A in that class at MSU.
I actually did. I mean, I don't do sports. I can't catch balls. I can't throw. I'm not. I can't remember numbers, but I know Latin names of plants.
Well, let's see if you know the Latin name for aster. Got a question from Amanda. It says, "Hey Felder, I potted some asters along with moneyworth and Coleus. Coleus.
Coleus.
The asters have bloomed. Will the asters bloom again before winter?
That's a good question. Asters are in the zinnias and sunflowers and chrysanthemums, they're all in the aster family, and they bloom according to day length. When the days start getting shorter, they start setting their flower buds. So that's the reason they bloom in the fall, or sometimes in the spring if we have a mild winter. It's possible that they could bloom again. My asters haven't bloomed yet, but they started budding up. But it's possible they could put on some new growth and bloom again. And by the way, the Latin name of these asters is Symphylocarpus. It doesn't even aster. I wish I didn't know, Java. I wish I didn't know this stuff because it drives me nuts. But anyway, the asters are really good. The question I have is asters and the moneywort and the coleus will take some sun, but they're going to need just a little bit of fertilizer if they're growing in a container. Something to help them put on a little growth because it's a new growth that will bloom. Don't push them hard, but you give them a little bit of fertilizer to stimulate that new growth. See if that doesn't work.
And we got another question from the YouTube live stream, and that's one of the benefits of being on YouTube. You can drop a question in the chat for all of our watchers this morning. But Carolyn, she wants to know, the grass at our condo on the beach is starting to die out where we walk our dogs. Is there any type of annual grass we can place over the seed that will help? Yeah, we can overseed that will help. Yeah.
This is a perennial question. Anybody got dogs or kids? Dogs and kids and grass do not mix, and the grass isn't dying out; it's being rubbed out. It's being mechanically crushed and rubbed to smithereens. And there's some grasses that'll resist it, but not for long. If they walk the dog in the same place over and over and over, if the dog's pee in the same place over, sooner or later that grass is going to die. So you need to do what you can to encourage new grass to grow in from the sides and move the dogs over a little bit. Bermuda grass will recover from damage real quick. It rubs out, but that's the reason I have it on high school football fields and soccer fields, because Bermuda grass fills in real quick after damage. You could plant ryegrass, I'm going to say next month. In another couple of 3 weeks, you put ryegrass out, and it'll grow over the winter time. But it won't take any kind of wear and tear. So I'm afraid you're going to have either grass or pathways. If you get them to stay on one certain kind of path, I know it's muddy, I know it's inconvenient, but maybe spread some bark out there they can walk on. That'll help a lot. But there's not any grass that'll tolerate the wear and tear or recover very quickly if the dogs are on it all the time.
That sounds like a nice math problem.
Well, let me throw this out. A lot of people have heard of this rubber mulch. Mulch is made of, it looks like shreds of bark. Rubber mulch really is a thing. It's not something I use in flower beds because it doesn't feed the soil, but I see it used like at Disney. I see it in botanic gardens where they have paths in the woods. But rubber mulch you can put out there, it locks into place. It's not going to wash away in heavy rains, but rubber mulch will really hold up well, and it looks pretty good. It's realistic looking. But I want to look into getting the condo folks to spring for some of that.
Now, before we go back to the phones, Amanda, who was talking about her asters, she just entered in the chat. She said, I fertilized them with time release when I planted them. Will that do?
Yeah, that'll do. The time release, a little fertilizer beads that is what I use, called Osmocote. It lasts for a whole season. But you might want to take a look at it. Those little beads, if they look like they're mostly watered now, it could be already used up, because the more you water, the more the fertilizer washes away. Might want to hit them with maybe a little half-strength Miracle Grow or something like that, little pick-me-up, just something to jolt them into putting on some new growth. Just sort of jazz them up a little bit. Little half-strength Miracle Grow wouldn't come amiss.
Like a Mountain Dew in the morning.
You were raised right, Java.
Let's go back to the phones and let's talk with Becky in Meridian.
Morning, Becky. What's going on?
Good morning. I have a dear friend who gave me a Japanese maple little seedling. It's 7 inches tall, the part above the soil. What's the best way to keep this thing going? How do I put it in like a transfer? It's right now it's in just a little seedling pot. And I was wondering if I should transfer it to like a 5-gallon bucket and let it get big in there. And then
first of all, Japanese maple will not be hurt by the winter. It grows outdoors in Canada. It is a cold hardy plant. What I would do is I would put it in a nice, pretty little pot, maybe put some violas with it, some little miniature pansies or something to enjoy over the winter time, and just use it as, so, you don't have to be right in the middle of the pot, maybe to one side with some little violas or maybe even some small daffodils, and make a little bouquet of plants. And that way, taking care of those flowers will more than take care of the Japanese maple over the winter time. You don't want to let it stay dry. But if you put, the little miniature viola, Johnny jump up type things, they're not going to overwhelm the plant. See, it drops its leaves in winter, so there's not much to look at. So if you go ahead and make you a nice pot full of flowers and put it in there, next spring when they peter out, you got a nice little tree ready to grow.
I can put it in the ground next spring?
Sure. Well, I mean, you can put it in the ground this fall, but keep in mind, Japanese maples, they're like a lot of other plants. They don't like our hot, muggy summer nights. They don't like staying too wet or too dry. So if you've got Meridian's got some pretty good dirt. If you want to make sure it's like on a little low mound, like a baseball pitcher mound, to where if we have rainy spells, it's raised up 3 or 4 inches, but just a little low mound, not enough you got to water it in the summertime. But you can if you're going to put it in the ground, go ahead and put some violas or daffodils around it and water them over the wintertime, and that'll help the maple too.
Okay, and one more question about putting something in my yard and what time. So I've got several cuttings of gardenia, little sprigs, and I've rooted them.
Yeah.
So should I go ahead and plant them this fall in the ground?
Sure. I mean, sooner or later, gardenias are they're not hardy up north like my friend Roger Swain used to be with the Victory Garden. He grows them as a potted plant indoors in New Hampshire. So they'll do okay. If you want to keep it in a pot over the winter, I would leave them outside. But because they're small, if it's gonna be a hard freeze, bring them in just during the hard freeze and put them back out. But if you want to go ahead and plant them, it's no problem doing that. Work the dirt up pretty good and mulch them, maybe with some bark or some tree leaves, and they'll do fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Java, what's up, man?
Let's go to probably our last caller for the hour, unless we can squeeze one person in. But here's Mikey from Mobile.
Mikey, good morning. Starting to run out of time, but what you got going on? What's up?
Good morning. I got a question regarding, I'm still working on my, making it an all monkey grass lawn.
Yeah.
And it's been successful so far. But this year with our drought, we've had like almost no rain for 5 weeks now.
Yeah.
And so there's one spot which it looks like somebody's been walking their dog and letting them do their thing near the street. But a lot of the other places on the monkey grass tips, I see yellowing. Is that?
Yeah.
That's a regular thing.
Let me ask you this. Do you have sun or shade?
Both.
Okay. The mondo grass, which I'm assuming what you use at mondo grass, it does best in the shade. It'll burn up out in the sun. It'll tolerate sun, but it's going to look really ratty towards the end of the year every year. They put on all new growth in the spring, and that's it for the year. So what you got out there now is going to be what you got till next spring. So not much you can do except give it a good soaking every 2 or 3 weeks and hope for the best. But out in the sun, it's going to look a little ratty, a little raggedy.
That was going to be my suggestion. Would you just have to make sure that you water it and keep it wet a little bit?
Yeah. How do I look, Java?
You look pretty, Felder.
I got a little bouquet that they made from the William Faulkner Literary Garden. It's got goldenrod and zinnias and phlox and all sorts of really cool stuff and berries. It's been a real pleasure broadcasting from the Faulkner Museum. Oh, I want to make the B&B I stayed last night. Look what the guy made. He made me some wooden coasters.
Whoa,
with the
man.
Gestalt Gardener. He plugged in his computer and he printed these things out. Isn't that cool?
You need to go back and I need 2.
Okay. Well, I got 2. I'll share one with you.
There you go. That's all right. And I looked up New Albany. It's kind of a big weekend in New Albany. They have the Tallahatchie Riverfest.
Riverfest.
Yeah.
I'm from a small town, the Delta. I got to tell you, New Albany is one of the most vibrant, coolest little small towns I have ever been to. And I can name several. Ocean Springs is good. There's going to be a plant swap in Fairhope tomorrow. Those are real, but New Albany has got it going on. Small town, feels like a small town. Historic, beautiful courthouse. Makes me want to move up here, but I'm afraid they don't let people like me live in a nice place like this.
No, they'll welcome you. I wish, the thing that we didn't bring onto the live stream is the audience that you kind of have at the Heritage Museum, just off in the other room. They're watching the YouTube live stream.
Watching the YouTube. That's right. Yeah. Watching the live stream. So anyway, it's been fun. I'm looking forward to getting out in the garden and chewing the fat with folks. We got some of these Proud to Be Neighbor MPB yard signs for people who want to take them. But I appreciate your hard work today too, Job. You and the live stream. Who's the live stream producer today?
Oh, we had John C. back there. We had Abram back there. Full team. Kevin on the phones.
Okay, you need to tell Kevin I'm still honked off at him about that bad chicken joke. Anyway, tune in to MPB Monday through Friday, rebroadcast on Saturday. Got all sorts of really cool, locally produced programs. This is the precious thing we have here in Mississippi that most other states don't have. So I appreciate being part of it, Jolly. So we got a little beautiful weekend to get out. Think about kale and lettuces and collards and pansies and stuff like that. If you get a chance, go to a farmer's market, go to a garden center, take somebody with you and show them how to do what we do best, and that's get dirty. See y'all next week.